All right, welcome to the Arsepool podcast with your host, Danyaal Sasa. Um, the premise of this podcast is, as it says on the tin, we're going to be discussing everything to do with Arsenal and Liverpool. I'm here with my boy, Scouser, Tamim. How you doing, man? You good?
Hello everyone. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. Excited for this.
I thought maybe the a good idea to talk about like how this pod came about would be
Mhm.
really based on our title rivalries in the last couple of seasons
Mm,
between Arsenal and Liverpool. Um, maybe just a bit of intro to yourself, Sam. How did you become a Liverpool fan? What's your story? I don't
mm,
actually know actually. So,
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, you'll find out for the first time. Well, it was probably a typical Asian dad upbringing, I think. It's because of my dad I started to support Liverpool. Yeah. He emigrated to the UK in his teens, and obviously he's trying to fit into the culture and everything, trying his best to learn the language, learn culture, etc. And one of the things he fell into was football and Liverpool itself, because back in those days when it would have been the 80s when he came to the UK, Liverpool were dominating, winning not just well, I was going to say Premier League. It wasn't called that, of course, but the league back then, and also the European Cups and stuff. So yeah, I think he just fell in love with Liverpool and how they played and how they
family
dominated
link.
back then. And then when I was born, of course, as his son, I had to get brainwashed.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's how I
Interesting.
became a Liverpool fan. Yeah, it was through
Yeah.
my dad.
So my now defunct blog that like if I was productive enough whilst being a dad, it would be a bit more active now. But it was called North London Forever. Obviously, a play off the Angel, which has been our new anthem. But that originated from a bit similar to your story in some ways. So my granddad and my mum's family. So when my mum was six back in the 1960s, they moved outside Highbury. Um, so technically we were an Arsenal family in that sense. So my granddad was a Gooner. My mum, on the other hand, was a black sheep. She wanted to rebel, and seeing Highbury was like the grey skies of the UK compared to like the sunny blue skies of Mauritius. Like seeing Highbury every day was a reminder of what she was missing back home.
Mm.
Um, so when my granddad took it to Arsenal Spurs, she was like, "That's it, I'm supporting Tottenham." Um, so unfortunately, my mum's a black sheep, so something went wrong with my mum. But
Yeah.
myself, my brother, a lot of my cousins are all Arsenal. There are, of course, other Tottenham fans in the family of being from North London, but the less said about that, the better.
Would make some interesting family meetups, I imagine,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
especially watching the games.
There's always some good banter at home. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're at the start of a new season. We've had the season like curtain raiser, if you like,
Hmm.
with the Community Shield
Hmm.
today. Yeah, looking really like deflated, Tottenham. Um, it was a defeat for Liverpool on
Hmm.
penalties. Um, yeah, like just go into like the feel of the match. How did
Hmm.
you? What was your take on it from a Liverpool
Hmm.
perspective?
Yeah, well, deflated is right. I was going to cancel this first podcast because of that, but all jokes aside, I mean, yeah, it was a nice watch to be fair. I think. I liked a few things, and obviously was a bit worried about a few things too, which I'll go into. But at the same time, not too worried because at the same time, I do see it. I'm not just saying it as an excuse, but it is part of the pre-season. I don't see it as a big thing. I don't think many people see the community shield as a big thing. Like, yeah, it's a bit more important than a pre-season game, of course. Still a trophy, but yeah, it's just the start of the season, and everyone's gelling together, new signings gelling together. I think, yeah, the feeling on the game, I liked what I saw with Ekitike, Wirtz, and trying to think who else. Yeah, well, to be fair, those two stand out, and Frimpong even, yeah, and Frimpong, yeah. I liked, yeah, just Ekitike's like build sort of involvement in the build-up play. His touches were good, dribbling. He had a good finish on him with that first goal. That was a nice touch and finish, which also came from Wirtz. It was a nice sort of touch he did, and little dink sort of pass. It was quite a nice pass he did. It wasn't just like a simple straight pass to Ekitike. So that was really nice to see because I felt like last season we lacked perhaps that number 10 creator, which Szoboszlai tried to be, but he wasn't, I don't feel he was quite good enough for that. But he's good in other ways, of course. But yeah, that was nice to see from Wirtz. Good moments from him, good moments from Ekitike, as I said, not just with the goal. And Frimpong too. Very different option at right back to Trent. And I will miss Trent, regardless of how I felt with the way he left and everything. He was obviously a top quality player, wasn't he, with his passing range and his ability to find a player. But Frimpong, yeah, very different. Doesn't have that passing range, but he showed like his pace in that game, like that, and his ability to not just use speed, but dribble with the ball too, which was quite nice. And there's a couple of moments where he was getting pressured and he got out of it, so that was quite nice to see. Which I know wants to play that sort of football with control, similar to Arteta and Pep. So yeah, there was nice bits to see there. The attacking build up, yeah, and as I said, mainly those three. I guess I was a bit worried with the defending. Yeah, some of it was pretty terrible. Like Van Dijk looked like he just woke up. Well, it didn't even look like he woke up, to be fair. Had a couple of moments of you'd question a couple of clangers. And I just felt it just felt a bit messy, like maybe where the fullbacks are quite new and Kirkes and Van Dijk connection not quite there, like one going forward, the other one maybe not staying back when they should. And which probably very normal, I imagine, when you have two new faces in defense. So yeah, that bit, with time you hope it improves you or you imagine again that maybe there weren't no, again, not an excuse because Palace could easily say the same, but not being at their best because it's just, just before the season starts. So yeah, a little bit worrying moments, but I think we are looking for a centre back. So Slot does know we're a bit short at the back, and yeah, that should help out. We're going to have
Mm,
Gravenberch return, McAllister return, who, neither of them played. Oh, sorry, McAllister did come on second half, but yeah,
mm.
neither of them started. Yeah. So no, overall, it was a nice match to watch, and it had goals, and it was good bit of Sunday entertainment, to be fair. Yeah. That's
It,
my
it
coping.
sounds like it sounds like you're downplaying the disappointing of it.
Have a good way
I'm
to.
I'm pretty sure if you'd won it today, like you'd be like, yeah, it's the English Super Cup, mate. Like,
I'd add it to the
oh,
trophy collections. Yeah.
no, honestly, my personal feeling is that, and this isn't just me talking as Arsenal. I do think the name and the branding of the Community Shield does it no favors. Like
Mm.
Spurs is playing PSG in the Super Cup in midweek, so it feels huge.
Mm.
And essentially, this is the English Super Cup. Like it's the winners of the
Mm.
FA
Mm.
Cup facing the winners of the Premier League.
Yeah.
Um,
I
and
feel like you're saying that
I
because
just
you guys won it.
what's that?
You guys won it, did you? Was it a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah,
And
of course. No,
yeah, yeah.
I genuinely believe that winning the Community Shield is in some ways harder than winning like like maybe like a Carabao Cup, for example. Like if we
Mm.
look back to a Carabao Cup that United won a couple of seasons ago, where they faced like a bunch of lower league opposition, all in home ties, when Ten Hag won it in his first season. Um, like that compared to winning and beating the domestic champions.
That's a bold
Um,
claim, man. That's a bold claim.
Again, it might be a controversial take, but like that's how I genuinely feel. Like I feel
Mm.
like if they rebrand it to the English Super Cup, maybe teams and maybe the fans might take it a bit more seriously. Uh,
Mm.
but it's always been either
Yeah,
Community Shield
I
or
hear
Charity
that.
Shield, like for as long as I've been growing up.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I do think it's more of a branding issue.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but
That is
but
true. I
but
think,
you know,
yeah.
like I was at the Community Shield a couple of seasons ago when we won it against City. Um, yeah, just to kind of back up my point, the fact that we were in that Community Shield and United weren't, despite winning the Carabao Cup that season, I think just shows you
Mm.
that like the value of how much that Carabao Cup
Mm.
really actually means. Because
Yeah.
City had won the
But
treble that year, the season before.
yeah.
Um,
It's still in my eyes though, it's still a one-off game though. Like, yeah,
it
I
it
hear what you're
is
saying,
it
like,
is a one-off game, 100%. But
mm,
like that Wembley final in the Community Shield that will stay with me. Like it was my first
yeah,
trip
it's
to
good
Wembley as
memory.
an Arsenal
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
like
see, you're biased. You won it. That's why you're biased, and you'd
no,
hold
no,
it
no.
more in mind.
Again, like I think even if we lost on that day, like
Mhm.
it would stay with me. Like that trip out,
Yeah,
um,
fair
like
enough.
as a fan, those moments stay with you. Like you
Yeah.
can't take away the moments of winning the FA Cup
Mm.
to any of the Palace fans. And again, the Palace fans who went there today,
Yeah,
uh,
they were
go,
going nuts,
going to
rightfully.
Wembley, like for them, you can't take away that moment,
No.
and they can genuinely claim that they've won a trophy,
Yeah.
like another trophy this season.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
um,
I think on that, so I'd just, sorry to interrupt. Yeah, just I think I'd definitely agree with you that it's underrated for sure. And I think the name, yeah, you're right. I think the branding, the name, calling something a charity shield or charity whatever, just having that word in it does really downplay anything, whatever it be. But I don't know if I'd agree that it's harder than the Carabao. Only because again,
yeah, you
it's
go
the
for a whole
length
tournament.
of the yeah, there's easier opponents in Carabao
Yeah,
Cup in the first few
like
stages. Yeah.
I said, like I think if the Premier League and the powers that be actually valued the Carabao Cup, they would have
Mm.
they really and truly they should have had Man United in that final versus Man City. Um,
Mm.
but they decided to
Yeah,
have
'cause
the runners up of the Premier League
mm,
rather than
true.
the
Yeah.
winners of Carabao.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Okay,
um,
yeah, because it was it
they won the treble
oh
that
yeah, the
season.
runners up versus FA Cup winner that year. Okay, okay. Yeah.
Oh no, no, it was runners up
Yeah.
versus FA Cup winners.
FA Cup
Yeah,
winner, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and slash
Yeah.
league winners. So because obviously it was a treble for City. So
Yeah, true. Yeah,
yeah,
City had the trouble. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I suppose in that merit, yeah, because they could have given it to the EFL winner, but they gave it to the second place instead, that position. So, yeah, yeah,
that is also like I'd always take a second place finish over winning a Carabao Cup. But that's a separate
would you?
discussion.
Of course
That's a
you'd say
separate
that.
discussion. That's a separate discussion. It's a separate discussion. Oh, but because
Until you win it.
like you said, right? Um, they're good days out for the fans, but
Mm,
finishing second means there's an element of consistency. Like we're having good days
mm,
out every
yeah,
single week.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
So
hear that.
yeah,
No, no, I do agree because you know what? As much as I take the piss about Arsenal finishing second or whatever, like, and like you'll have even seen some of your Man United mates maybe even say, "Oh, look, we won a trophy last year, and all right, we finished 16th or whatever it was, but we won a trophy." But
Spurs, yeah.
yeah, no, I mean they didn't. Sorry, that was Spurs, like you said. But
17th,
yeah,
yeah, literally.
yeah, yeah.
They
I mean,
literally, they literally
yeah,
were miserable for the entire season.
yeah, yeah,
They had
yeah.
22 losses
Yeah,
in the
that's horrible.
domestic campaign, and
Horrible, yeah. I don't think a Europa like yeah, it doesn't take that way
no, I
because
think
it's a good trophy, but
for Spurs it does because they haven't won a trophy for 17
yeah,
years,
yeah, yeah, for
and the
sure.
fact which
Mm.
it parachutes you into a Champions League spot. So
Yeah, yeah. In that, yeah,
in that regard it does, but
yeah,
like. Still, man, they had a very miserable year under
yeah,
Ange last season
yeah,
alongside United.
yeah,
But yeah, long may it continue. What we're not talking about
yeah,
then.
yeah.
Um,
Forget it.
I guess my standouts from the game today. I think what you mentioned about Wirtz, he does look like he's a really good player. In my mind, he is gonna um, basically dominate this team,
Mm,
despite it being Mo Salah's team. What I
mm,
saw today was a bit of a change in system from Slot. Um, like you referenced not having a number 10 last season, or Trent was your number 10. He was basically playing as your playmaker.
mm,
And Frimpong is kind of playing as a more traditional winger. But what that meant was to ensure that structure that you kind of referenced as well. Salah was tucking in a lot more, kind of being like rather than kind of winger forward, he was kind of being a bit more of an RCM at times and letting Frimpong bomb ahead of him. Um, which is very interesting just in terms of like the changing dynamics in terms of your play.
Yeah.
Which like new players, new systems, it might take time for Liverpool to click. Similarly with
Mm.
Arsenal as well. But yeah, I do find that quite interesting. Towards the end as well, it did seem like, and again, this could be a fitness issue, and as well momentum. Like the momentum really swung in Palace's favour,
Mm.
especially those last 20 minutes. But yeah, again, like from a neutral perspective, it was an interesting. Well, I was a neutral. I was obviously cheering Palace
Mm.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, although I did have that Community Shield curse in mind. I was thinking, yeah, if Liverpool
See,
win it,
that's why I was not too
hopefully the
deflated. You said I'm not too deflated. Yeah, the curse is real, man. Salah missed that penalty on
on
purpose for sure.
purpose.
He had the curse in mind. He's been around long
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
enough.
Um, speaking of curse, it does feel like this is like my segue to pivot a little bit to Arsenal. Um, it has felt like we've been a little bit cursed these last few seasons, like being so close, yeah, so far to winning the title. Um, yeah, like the Premier League's nearly men.
Last
In a
year,
lot
what
of
should
ways.
I don't want to say the word should have because it's always going to be a hard year, regardless of who's competing or not. But I feel like last year was a very good opportunity for Arsenal to win.
Especially because City had fallen away and also
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
but again like it's about I think I try to reference this at the end of the season as well. It's about being there and being able to capitalize at the right place. Like what when we finished on 89 points, um in most seasons, including last season, that would have been enough to take you to the league title.
Hmm,
But what we just had an atrocious injury record, um, which is a separate pod in entire itself, which
hmm,
I won't
yeah.
go into.
Hmm.
It's going to get me ranting a little bit, but like
It's gonna get me trolling as well.
yeah, but that aside, like our preseason this year, I have been concerned. Obviously, Arteta has been chopping and changing the number of teams, like paying 15-year-old Max Dowman regularly, for
Hmm,
example, which is kind of crazy. Like technically,
hmm.
he's still in year 10 until
Yeah,
September.
crazy,
He's
man.
he's
Yeah.
literally in year 11 when he starts. And
Hmm.
he's looked our best player, which has been quite interesting.
Yeah.
And worrying from another perspective that our best
Hmm.
player happens to be a
Yeah.
15-year-old.
Hmm.
Um, saying that the game against Athletic Bilbao did like it was encouraging. We looked like Arsenal again, especially after the
Hmm.
loss against Spurs and the loss against Villarreal. Like the football looked very stodgy. Like we had a bit of a horseshoe, like well-famed horseshoe problem of just trying to work it round the defense without kind of any incision.
Hmm.
Um, in the previous game before Bilbao, but on Saturday, it looked like our passing was back. Um, Zubimendi in particular stood out. Like uh, it showed me why Liverpool was so determined to try and get him last season.
Hmm. Hmm. He is
Um,
class. He is class.
and my feeling after watching the three of them, because this was the first time in pre-season that we've seen Ødegaard, Zubimendi, and Rice line up as a midfield three, um, was that this is the best midfield three in the Premier League.
Hmm. Well,
uh,
claim, but it could be true.
um, just I don't think any kind of midfield three, including City, and Rodri's not there yet in terms of his fitness, and
Hmm.
he's had another setback as well. Um, have that kind of same balance, that same
Hmm.
power, that running power, the technicality from
Hmm.
Zubimendi, the vision, the kind of build-up play and the through balls from Ødegaard. Like we were seeing that
Hmm.
yesterday between the three of them. Like Zubimendi's clip ball for Gyökeres. I don't know if you saw the Arsenal's preseason match.
Yeah, I
or the
saw the goal,
highlights, the
the
goals.
Gokeres' goal. Yeah, but I didn't
Yeah,
see the
yeah.
rest of the highlights. No,
Um, so yeah, he had two
it was
moments.
good.
He had yeah
Mm.
he had two moments which was really interesting, and he had this criticism that he doesn't score any headed goals at Sporting. So the fact
Yeah, I
that
saw that.
the two closest chances that he scored
Mm.
from his first goal, which was really well taken from Jermaine's clip ball, um, and then his second chance as well was a RVP kind of esque header, like diving
Mm.
header, where he hit the post.
Mm.
Um, what was really interesting was Havertz ended up scoring a very Gyökeres goal, like running through, beating his man, being the last man in
Mm.
defense, having to run, showing that power, and slotting it in the other, like the other side of the corner. Um, and Gyökeres got a very Kai Havertz goal.
Mm.
Um, so that I found quite interesting
Mm.
from a tactical perspective.
Havertz
Um,
was very good aerially. Not even was. He obviously is. His
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was
He's got
yeah. I mean, obviously Gokeres is the player you wanted, the striker you wanted, the missing piece almost. You could say
well,
the criticism that Arsenal always had. That number
well,
nine, that
yeah.
number
I mean,
nine.
this
Kai Havertz, good player. I liked him. Yeah.
this is the interesting narrative going into United next week because
Mm.
Arsenal and I think Arteta's preference was to sign Benjamin Sesko.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. That's
so
interesting.
and Amarim's preference was to sign Gyökeres. So
Right.
like
Okay.
United
Mm.
have signed Arsenal's first choice, and Arsenal have signed United's
Mm.
first choice.
That's
So
interesting.
very, very interesting kind of dichotomy there, and narrative building into next week's game.
Mm.
I have a sneaking suspicion that Mikel will play Havertz up front
Really?
rather than Gyökeres. No,
Yeah.
obviously Gyökeres will
What
come on
makes
and get
you say that?
minutes. I just think that Mikel will revert to type in terms of like he knows Havertz will press and have that running power. The familiarity of being the familiarity of players in terms of Havertz knowing
Mm.
Saka's
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
and Ødegaard's game.
Mm.
Um,
Mm. Mm.
I think we'll revert to type, and I think Gyökeres will start on the bench.
Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I feel like if this is a home game, maybe Gyökeres might be starting, but just because it's at Old Trafford, um,
Mm.
I could be entirely wrong, but I just had this feeling
Yeah,
Havertz might
that's
start
your
next week.
feeling. Yeah.
Yeah,
About
yeah,
the Sesko thing, I was going to ask you. So
yeah.
you're saying that Sesko was your first choice. What did Arteta or whoever did they say why? Like, is that because of the stylistic nature of his play, the physicality? What was it? Was there a key bit to Sesko?
I think with Sesko, like he's obviously a Champions League proven player. Um, he's been
Coquelin is too, to be fair. Maybe not as
no, no,
much
no,
as
no, no,
Sesko.
no. He is. But it's his age, his age
Mm,
profile. He has freakish build in terms of like he's about
mm.
6'6". Like, he's really, really tall.
Pretty tall, yeah.
Um, his
Mm,
technical play is excellent in terms of him linking up play. He's got freakish pace
mm,
rather.
mm,
Um, so there's more this kind of he could become
mm. The
the
ceiling's high, yeah.
world best footballer potentially. He could be the next Haaland in terms of what he could become. And I think
Mm,
that's why Leipzig weren't willing to budge
yeah.
on his price tag, which
Mm,
which is
mm,
why I think so Andrea Berta is Arsenal sporting director, which is why I think he decided to go for Gyökeres. I think he was eyeing him up at Atletico Madrid when he was sporting director there or technical
mm,
director at
mm.
Atleti. So obviously he
Long
took that
term.
and he
Yeah.
he he obviously won that kind of boardroom battle, if you like, to get Arsenal to sign that to sign
Yeah.
Gyökeres. Because but before that, I don't think there was any kind of interest in Gyökeres
Mm, mm,
from an
mm,
Arsenal perspective. We weren't really linked to him before Andrea Berta
mm.
came to the club.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I wonder what would that I you had a strong interest in Isaac, and that was legit, wasn't it?
yeah, so the Isak thing is an interesting one. So he um allegedly had a gentleman's agreement, or like all three of these strikers allegedly had a gentleman's agreement to move this summer.
Mm.
with Newcastle, provided that Newcastle didn't reach Champions League.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So,
I remember.
and I think that was a caveat. The
Mm.
fact that they reached the Champions League, they finished fifth, had bigger ramifications for Arsenal in terms of knowing what they could afford.
Mm.
And I think we're seeing that with Liverpool's pursuit of him right now. Like he costing, well, Newcastle turned down a 110 million pound bid for him, which is a
Mm.
significant
Yeah,
outlay.
they want
Um,
150, so there's a big
they want 150.
discrepancy there.
Yeah, exactly. And you can understand why. Like they are literally the richest club in
Yeah,
the world.
yeah,
They don't need to sell, despite I think he's got
mm.
2 years left on his contract currently.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think what we're going to see is uh, a difference between um, like the price tag versus the player's will to leave.
Mm. Do you feel like well, this is what I personally believe, but obviously that there's a lot of bias in this. I think Isak will join us. I think it'll be a lot less than 150 million, but it'll be, of course, more than 110. It'll be somewhere in the middle. I feel like Newcastle are playing with a bit of like, it's a bit of a dilemma here because it's a player that clearly doesn't want to play for them anymore. It's not just rumors, it's the fact that he didn't want to train, didn't want to turn up for the first preseason, second preseason game, that sort of thing. There's
Mm,
a clear issue there. Eddie Howe coming out with, saying, "Oh, I only want players that want to play for us." And yeah, there might be room for him, but he's got to prove it. Those just a few things adding up there. Now, Newcastle have to make a decision. Like, do we keep an unhappy striker who is one of the best in the world, but he's unhappy, he's not going to sign an extension? And next year he's down to 1 year left on his contract, and we're not going to be able to sell him for 150 mil next year. It's going to be a lot less than that. So why don't we cash in and look what we did with the Coutinho money, right? Got Van Dijk, Alisson, a few other extras. A similar sort of thought process that Newcastle could take here. Like, okay, we might get a few players, we might get a Wissa, we might get this and that. They're not Isak, but there's 3 or 4 very good or world-class players we can get in our squad that will strengthen our squad and make us play better for Champions League, for the league, etc., and set us up for the future. I think Newcastle, playing with that thought process, and obviously we're biding our time with that as well because if we were desperate for him, we probably would pay well near 150 million for him because I personally think, and again, it's not just me saying this because we're going for him, but I do think he is the best striker in the league. Like, yeah, Haaland has the numbers. He has the numbers too, not far off Haaland. But in terms of overall gameplay, his dribbling ability, his ability to get involved in the actual build-up play, etc. Yeah, I think, he's got all of that above Haaland. So he's much more impactful to the attack, much more impactful to the team than Haaland is. So I think, we'd pay a high amount, but we also know that, we might not have to pay the 150 million. We might not have to get too close to it because Newcastle in a pretty not in a terrible position, but yeah, you could say a bad position with how Isak has been sort of been with them. Yeah. And
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, I just think what Arsenal need to do this summer as well meant it was just a bit of an unrealistic pursuit, I think.
Mm,
I think for sure Arsenal and Isak Camp were definitely in contact last year and potentially, before this summer. But
mm,
yeah,
yeah.
I like the fact that we need to get Zubimendi done, we need to get Christian Norgard done. We obviously needed a bit more competition at left wing,
Mm,
so hence why we signed Madueke. We needed another like utility defender. That's why Mosquera's
mm,
come in. Arsenal in total signed 6 players, which is kind of unprecedented for them. They don't normally
mm, mm,
buy this many players in a transfer window.
mm,
So it just seemed kind of unrealistic. And a player that I was keeping a close eye on today in today's match, Eberechi Eze.
Mm.
we're being really linked to as
Oh, he's
well.
class. He's such a good
Yeah,
player, isn't he?
he's really really good, and I think that'll only happen if we can get some sales done. So it'll be a very interesting
Mm.
end to the transfer window, I guess. Like whether
Yeah.
Arsenal can get that business done, and whether
Mm.
we can get that kind of. What's exciting about Eze is he's not an Arteta player.
Mm.
He's someone who kind of breaks through structures. He'll shoot from outside the box.
Mm. Mm.
Um, he has an X factor, like 27,
Yeah.
28. Like we're bringing a man in, don't get me wrong. I was absolutely thrilled. We re-signed Ethan Ranieri. We re-signed
Mm.
Miles Skelly. Um, but yeah, to get that kind of X factor piece in Eze,
Yeah.
I think will be
He's in his prime. He's you
yeah.
could say world class. You could say debatable, but yeah, he's a very good player.
And there's a bit of romanticism about it as well because he's from our academy. He's from Haaland.
Ah, okay.
So to bring him back to where he belongs, like
Yeah,
there's an element of
yeah.
that as well,
Mm,
which
mm,
I think for the fans, like we all love a Highlander
yeah.
coming through the ranks as Gooners. So
Mm, mm.
yeah, it'll be very interesting. And
That'd be
um,
good. Mm.
I think we should wrap this one up, Tamim.
Yeah,
What do you reckon? There was something I wanted to talk about
yeah,
very briefly. So
yeah.
um, Mohamed Salah
Mm,
um, posted a reply to UEFA, which was very interesting.
yeah.
So UEFA commented on the death or the
Mm,
killing, should we say,
mm,
of Suleiman Al Ubaid,
mm,
who in UEFA's post they said farewell to Suleiman Al Ubaid, the Palestinian Pele, a talent who gave hope to countless children even in the darkest of times.
mm,
Um, and Mo Salah replied, "Can you tell us how he died, where, and why?" Which are valid
mm.
questions to ask
Yeah,
UEFA because UEFA very much brushed aside the issue.
yeah,
They
yeah.
referenced his passing, which is all good and
Mm,
well.
mm.
Um, but let's be real,
Well,
it wasn't just a passing, was it?
no, no, exactly. And I feel like, they would sort of take the stance of, oh, we don't want to get involved in politics. Football and politics doesn't mix. But they've shown time and time again that it does. Like the
Yeah,
Russia-Ukraine conflict, there's been many things they've done to show their support for Ukraine.
for sure.
So clearly there is a mix of football and politics. And in such a large scale, you can't even call this a war. So such a large scale inhumane genocide. How can you not say something? How can you not just be ignorant to what's going on?
Mm,
And
mm.
clearly, so like you said, Salah is asking the right questions, clearly valid questions. And even he himself has come under, you've probably seen he's come under criticism in the past, or maybe not even speaking up enough about it. He has a bit, but yeah, maybe not as much as some other like big figures in football maybe would have.
Well,
But
I'm going to cut across here 'cause I think he's the only one who's really spoken up. In fairness, in terms of like,
fair. Yeah.
I know some other Muslim players, like such as William Saliba, and some other players as well. That they posted the All Eyes on Rafa meme.
Mm.
Um, but like Salah, soon after, you still there? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, still there.
yeah.
Can you hear
Connection
me?
just dropped slightly. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Um, Soon after the bombing of Gaza started, and October 7th, he did post about the killing happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Allegedly, like he's been sending money for Palestinian families as well.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Fine, he might not be speaking up the most as other players. I think the one who was probably the most vocal was probably Sam Morsi, who was formerly a Premier League player. I think he might have announced his retirement recently, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm. Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but the fact that someone so high profile has posted this, like
Yeah,
he deserves all the praise
for sure.
because really and truly, this issue wasn't getting any mainstream time in
Mm,
the media. Sky
no.
Sports commented and made a news article on it,
Mm, mm,
which is drawing attention to this issue.
yeah.
Um, so honestly, like my praise and
Yeah, respect him.
comment. Yeah, my respect to Mohammed Salah for
Mm,
this.
yeah,
You know,
man.
I know he
Yeah.
gets a lot of flack for other things that he does, in particular amongst Muslims.
Mm.
His infamous Christmas tree post and the
Yeah.
Christmas curse
Yeah.
that happens. But that aside, and joking aside, this is something which he deserves all the praise for,
Yeah. Yeah.
in my opinion. And
Fully agreed. Yeah.
just but before we wrap up, like um, Arsenal's kind of take on um, the Palestine issue has been very disappointing. Um, in particular, thinking about, they sacked a kit man for speaking up on Palestine, Mark Bonnick, when it was proven by the club that it wasn't anti-Semitic in any shape or
Mm,
form. And he's obviously taken to tribunal now,
mm,
on this. Um, yeah, I was making the point about Arsenal's kind of take on this issue, like just being very disappointed in the fact that Mark Bonnick was sacked, the former kit man, for speaking up on Palestine, and especially once the club had proven that it wasn't anti-Semitic in any shape or form,
mm,
and he's currently taking the club to tribunal. Yeah, Arsenal as an institute have always like like had that level of pride in themselves of being a club of class, of dignity, and it just felt like they were straying from those values a little bit. In particular as well, not only the Palestine issue, but the Thomas Partey situation, as well, which I think rightly so got a lot of criticism from supporters across the board, on both issues, to be fair.
mm,
Um, okay, well, we have gone on long enough.
mm.
I think this is a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Um, thank you for the chat, Tamim. I've really enjoyed it.
No, thank you as well, Danielle. That was a good chat. That was a good news
I'm really
episode.
looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, definitely. That was very good.
All right, Wicked.
Thanks.
And we'll talk to you all same time next week.
Yeah. Thanks for those listening.